been looking at the people in New Hampshire to give me the answers to make change. Because, folks, when Barack Obama ran for president, he said it straight. Change is hard. Change is hard. It doesn't all come overnight. And here we are squarely in the challenge of change. We've had a house of cards economy built on a foundation of sand, washed away. Too much debt, risk, and greed. And our job is to bring jobs back, to rebuild the middle class on a firm foundation. That means clean energy and health care for all of us, and an educational system that teaches our kids how to think, not simply what to think on rote tests, to invest in smart grid and broadband, which are the new highways of this century, to rebuild our crumbling roads and bridges, to put people back to work, but also to keep us productive, and a financial system that doesn't simply make a lot of paper profits for a few billionaires, but funnels money into this great free enterprise system for innovation and entrepreneurial activity. And that's our challenge. And we can see it, and we've started it, but we're not quite there. We're caught in the valley of the shadow of transition. And that's where we are 50 days from this election. And I have traveled all over the state. I mean, this is my, I don't know, is this 25th? Is this the last one? This is my 25th community summit. All over the state. And I've been in living rooms, I've been in mills, I've been in coffee shops. And you know, folks just want a decent job with a fair pay for a day's work. See a doctor when we're sick. Send our kids to a decent, safe school. Put something away for retirement so that we can retire with dignity. And too often, we run up against the system. And the system is supposed to help us, but it's upside down. And my job has been to stand up for the people in New Hampshire and the people of this country, whether it is the big Wall Street banks, whether it is the big oil companies, whether it's the big health insurance companies, or the other corporate special interests who want to spend the money to stop progress, whether it's the leaders of my own party or Republicans or bureaucrats who aren't responsive to what the people need to stand up for the people in New Hampshire. That's what I've done as a congressman, and that's what I'm going to do as your United States Senator. And that's the way change happens. Here's a good example. A few years ago, there was a young lady, junior at Plymouth State, and she wanted to be a teacher. Beautiful young lady. She woke up one morning with a stomach ache. Next day, diagnosed with aggressive colon cancer. So she and her family went to the insurance company, and they said, the doctors say Michelle, her name was Michelle Morse, Michelle has to take a leave of absence because she's going to need chemotherapy and radiation, and she can't keep up her studies because it's just going to be too hard. She's got to take a leave so she can get well. The insurance company said, well, we're sorry. You didn't read the fine print. Because the fine print says, even though you've been paying your premiums for years, we're only going to cover her treatments if she's a full-time student. If she takes a leave of absence, she's off the insurance. Well, now Michelle had a pre-existing condition. Family couldn't afford or even find a policy. So they made the decision that Michelle was going to stay in school. She had to get covered. So she did. And she worked her way through her senior year. She lost all her hair. She took weeks and weeks of treatments. She graduated with honors, and she died. Her mom, Anne Marie, is a teacher. Had never been involved in politics a day in her life. Ordinary New Hampshire mom and teacher. And she decided that what had happened to her daughter was wrong. Wrong. And it should never happen to any family again. So what did she do? She went on a one-woman crusade to change the law. First she went to Concord. And with the help of some of the folks here, she changed the law in Concord. We passed Michelle's law as a state law. It said you could take a leave of absence as a student without getting knocked off your parents' insurance. I met her and I said, Anne Marie, we're going to take the fight to Washington. And we did. And Anne Marie spent 2 years traveling back and forth to Washington on her own nickel. 2 years lobbying, incessantly lobbying everywhere. And we worked with her. We stood up to the big health insurance companies that didn't want to change. And in the end, with Anne Marie in the gallery, the House of Representatives passed Michelle's law by a unanimous vote. The Senate passed it, and George Bush signed it into law as only the second time that the federal health law, ERISA, had ever been amended. And today, because of Anne Marie Morse and her crusade, that provision in the health care bill that says that kids up to the age of 26 can stay on their parents' policy, which is going to be important to some of you kids perhaps, is in there thanks to Anne Marie Morse. And that's the way change happens. Because I had the honor of being her voice to stand up in that system and say, the law that's there is wrong, it needs to change. It's not the whole thing, but we're going to change that law. Anne Marie Morse is a New Hampshire hero. And that's what I mean about how change happens. She had the answers, and I had the honor of serving as her voice in Washington. And that's what I'm going to do in the United States Senate for you as your senator. I'll just spend a few minutes on the policy and what's going on in this election. Because tomorrow, we're going to figure out whether it's Jim DeMint flavored Tea Party or it's Sarah Palin iced tea flavored Tea Party. I mean, that's really where they are. Because the agenda on that side is really clear. On social issues, privatize Social Security, turn Medicare into a voucher system, take away a woman's right to choose, forget about equality. Equality only works for some, but not for all. On financial issues, give tax breaks to the rich, $700 billion bad to the deficit, and it doesn't matter if we don't pay for it, but at the same time, those folks will hold up unemployment compensation for those who've been clobbered by the recession, claiming it needs to be paid for. It's ultimate hypocrisy. They yapping about deficits. They forget that in the year 2000, we had a balanced budget and federal surpluses as far as the eye could see. When Barack Obama raised his right hand, we had a $1.3 trillion deficit and an economy that was DOA and needed a defibrillator because of the policies they had pushed on this country and drove us into a ditch. That's why I say politics is kind of like driving a car. You want to go back, you put it in R. You want to go forward, you put it in D, right? They want to keep tax breaks for companies that ship jobs overseas. We've seen where that ends up. We need to give tax help to small businesses here. That's why I've proposed giving tax credits for small businesses who invest in equipment here so they can write it off in the same year. That's why I think we need to expand the research and development tax credit for companies that manufacture their goods here. We need to help small businesses and middle-class families here. That's who needs it. And finally, I'll just say this. On energy, everybody I am looking at on the other side denies that global warming exists. They are climate change, global warming deniers. I don't know about you, but I just lived through an awfully hot summer here in New Hampshire. I lived through an oil spill down in the Gulf. In Moscow, it's been 100 degrees. People have been dropping dead from the heat. Record floods in Pakistan. How many record floods have we had in New Hampshire? How many 100-year floods have we had in the past 5 years? Folks, global warming is real. It's a problem. Our addiction to foreign oil is real. It's an issue of national security. We should be number one in the world in clean energy, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. We can accomplish it in the next 6 years. Right now, an energy and environment bill is stuck by filibuster in the United States Senate because of the Republicans. When I'm your United States Senator, it's going to be among my top priorities to move an aggressive climate and energy bill through the United States Senate. So the choices are clear on every policy issue down the line. And the question is, what are we going to do? Because the other side is really good at fear and loathing. They want you to be afraid. They want you to feel afraid right now that we haven't gotten it right as Democrats. And Billy talked about all the things that we've done. I mean, think about what we've gotten done. They say nothing's gotten done, and there is a lot broken about the system that we need to fix in Washington. But health care reform, Wall Street reform, credit card reform, equal pay for women for an equal day's work, a huge lands bill, and oh, by the way, rescuing the economy from a second depression with the recovery bill. That's enough for a long time. That's what we got done. They want to believe nothing got done, and they want to believe that the deficit is our problem. Folks, they're trying to use fear and loathing, and we're going to stand up to it because we're better than that. This country is better than that. This state is better than that. We're not going to let them divide us. You know, in New Hampshire, I don't ask anybody what party they're in. I figure we've got 30% Democrats, we've got 30% Republicans, we've got 40% independents, and everybody's an eccentric libertarian at heart. You know, I mean, you can talk to Democrats, they'll say, I'll vote for a Republican. Democrats will say, Republicans will say, occasionally, I'll vote for a Democrat. What's important are good ideas, offered with good faith. I'll take good ideas from wherever they come, and I work across the aisle. I gave up earmarks. I said, let's cut $15 billion from the federal budget. Easy. Just cut $15 billion, and let's get rid of pay for play. Because I don't think that's the way our government ought to be, and I joined up with a Republican, Jeff Flake. And today there's a Department of Justice investigation about the link between contributions and earmarks to change business as usual in Washington. It's important. And we got a problem with money in our politics. The legacy of the Bush administration is the Citizens United decision. What does that mean? They've run $2 million worth of ads. The Chamber of Commerce and Americans for Prosperity, whoever that is, happens to be a guy named Fred Malek, who learned his trade at the feet of Richard Nixon and is behind Ms. Ayotte. That's who it is, running millions of dollars of untruthful ads against me. That's the legacy. We got to get the money out of politics and do that. But we can do this. We'll take good ideas wherever they come. But I'm a proud Democrat. And I'm proud because I think of what JFK said. What John Fitzgerald Kennedy said was, we care about the people, their schools, their jobs, their health, their housing, their civil rights, and their civil liberties. We care about people. Opportunity for all, not just a few at a time. And when we think about the challenges we face in this election that rise out before us, think about the challenges we've met as a country. Civil War, 2 world wars, a Great Depression, civil rights. We have found a way as a nation to come together and solve these problems, as contentious and cantankerous as we always have been. And we're going to solve these. And I will just leave you with these words that Abraham Lincoln spoke on a battlefield where thousands have given their lives to preserve this union, this experiment in democracy. He said, the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And I'm running for the U.S. Senate so that I can stand up for you and every citizen in New Hampshire, the people of this country who know that we've got to move forward, not backward. That's my job. That's our job. And together, when I'm working with Jeanne Shaheen in the United States Senate, I'm going to make sure that the people in New Hampshire have a strong voice down in Washington. Thank you very much.